Hi everyone, welcome back. Michael Sandler here, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
if you've ever had an argument between you and yourself or your ego and your higher self, or something like a scene out of Jim Carrey's Me, Myself, and Irene, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll be talking about compartmentalizing or segmenting your life and staying true to your authentic self when your ego-driven self tries to take over. And we'll also talk about bucket lists, what's on them, what's not, and why you need to make one before someone else makes one for you. That, plus we'll talk about saving cute and furry mice, going into sloth mode, being cooked by one's own house, and why in the world rattlesnakes make great dance partners.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
welcome to the show, CJ. Are you ready to
I
shine?
am ready to shine. Woo!
Woohoo! So, before we dive right into things, I've got to ask, just based on the topic alone, what in the world has been going on with you, CJ?
Well, aren't you? I thought you said you were going to start off in the beginning when I was looking at myself and saying, "Michael, do I look pig faced?"
You said it, CJ, not me.
So please respond. Tell us on YouTube where the Fired Up with CJ show and yours is not posted on YouTube, but go to Fired Up with CJ and please comment and tell me if I look pig faced because I've been looking at my videos. And I'm convinced I look like a pig. And so we were following around the camera to understand why I look so pig-like. Who knows?
I never thought of this. Now, since you're saying it, no. All right, so we've got Miss Piggy here.
Yes. Miss Piggy! Yes. Okay.
Okay, so with
So
that,
what I've been up to is I've been re-engaging into the work life because I had a corporate job for like forever, a
yeah,
bajillion years ago, and before I had kids.
back in Maserati mode.
Yes, exactly. And I described to Michael in previous shows that I was like a Maserati, like flying high, fast in the corporate world. And then once I had kids, I drove into the hospital and then came out driving a minivan and said, "What the heck hit me?" But during that time, that kind of corporate buzz, and I worked at Microsoft, so it was in the startup phase, so you're like working tons of hours, everything is done at 1,000 miles per hour. It has this kind of entrepreneurial, like running around, you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, you're doing 10 things at once, like that kind of thing. And so that's the last time I've worked in that corporate environment. And then I moved into coaching where I'm trying to help people like my former self be calm,
Straighten them out.
straighten them out so that they're intentional and they're living whole lives. And it's a lot easier when you're a coach and you're coaching people who,
This
the
is a
former
do
version.
as I didn't do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm reading all these books and I'm calm and I'm driving kids to school and like I'm having this whole life and I'm reading information about how to get to be holistic and how to be one with everything, all that stuff. So it's one thing if you're reading that stuff and you're telling someone else, like the former version of me, to do that. It's a lot different when now the former version of me is now, so, went in, Maserati, driving 1,000 miles per hour, parked my car in the hospital, came out with a minivan, and now am emerging as what's that great electric car?
Tesla?
Emerging as a Tesla. And I'm realizing that I have like the Microsoft me, and then I have my coach me, and that they're both fighting with each other as I'm emerging out of the garage as a Tesla.
Well,
So
actually,
that's
you
what's
have a
going on.
third me in there, the mommy me.
The mommy me. That's actually been okay because my kids are old enough that they're ready for me to go. In fact, they actually miss me a little bit when I'm gone, which which I
Wow.
realized that before this trip, the last time that I had been gone was in October for a funeral, and the last time before that was maybe 3 years ago. Like I'm never away from my kids. Like that's never away. So, yeah, but it was
So,
okay.
so you're having these street fights,
I'm having these
and
street fights. Yes. Does it sound familiar? Do you ever have anything like that?
yeah. Now do I have lots of internal conflicts, maybe not around the same topics.
I hear your
But
sports you. Oftentimes there's a sports you, and then there's a spiritual you.
there are many different sides of me, and incorporating them. Now it seems pretty fluid. In the past, I used to have the biggest the biggest argument was between the striver doer me and the seeker, quiet, spiritual me. Mm-hmm. And that took a lot of years to reconcile. And Jessica would probably say I didn't get it dialed well until probably about a year ago. Mm. And I mean, that had some kick 'em, drag 'em out brawls to it, because the more I would try to go quiet and really get centered, the more my ego would come and, well, frankly, bitch slap me and say, what the heck are you doing? Who do you think you are? And you need to get busy and get some stuff done, because I'm living in fear mode and you're coming along for the ride.
Ah, so that was about a year ago. So what?
So well, a year ago is when we were finally really snuffing that out.
Ah, okay. So how long have you been, I mean, because I've been working with this, like Microsoft, high driven, same thing. It's equivalent to your one, right? It's what we're all driven to, like accomplishing, getting stuff done. Why are you just sitting there? Why are you just meditating? Aren't you supposed to go do a X, Y, and Z? You know, and then there's this kind of quiet, centered, godlike version of yourself. It's like, it's all good, man. Like, what are you worried about? Everything is going to be fine. If that report doesn't get done, nothing bad is going to happen. So you have that kind of tension. At least I have that same exact thing. And don't you think everyone has sort of that tension? Because there's their higher self, and then there's this kind of drive, be that good person that you think you're supposed to be.
I think we're lucky if we only have that tension, meaning if it's only you pulling at you, as neurotic as it is, that ain't half bad. If it's then also your spouse pulling at you, your career pulling at you, your parents pulling at you, and now you're trying to please a dozen people on top of the inner struggle that you have, that's really nutty making. And I think the majority of us, myself included, have been faced with that, of being pulled a dozen different directions. And you certainly don't know how to please yourself, and you don't know how to please anybody else. It gets really tough.
Yeah, no, I actually had a similar situation like that too, because I feel like I've grown over that, right? Because I'm 50 years old, and I don't know what happens. I'm 52, but once you cross the 50 threshold, you get to the point like, whatever. I'm old. I'm just doing what I want to do. You know, get over it. Just forget about it. I'm not going to worry about guilt and shaming myself, but it still pops up, because I was on a business trip, and that same dynamic popped up where I was able to make the earlier flight and my friend wasn't, because my work associate / friend wasn't able to make it because she had to park the car, and she had driven me to the airport earlier because she has pre-check-in and I don't. Mm-hmm. So, and apparently the lines there were supposed to be like an hour line in Atlanta to even get through the pre-check-in. So she was kind enough to drop me off. So I got on the earlier flight back to Seattle, and she didn't. And I was like, oh, now I feel really bad.
Oh, I was almost afraid to ask if you bailed. You did.
I got on the flight and I thought, oh, I feel so bad. You know, so there's still things, right? There's still things where even though I'm kind of like, whatever, I'm 50, I just don't care anymore. You know, there's still little things like that catch me up. Okay, so a year ago you went through this. What's your advice for going through this process?
Well, just that the more you can, for example, and I was talking with I sent out a newsletter on this morning. So if you're on the Inspire Nation newsletter list, how when things start going, the more on this show, because it's obviously it's a daily show, stuff comes and comes and comes. The more that the show makes me feel that I need to do more and go faster, now the more I respect the higher self side, and I crank it down, because I want to care for myself first and foremost. The really cool thing is, the more I take it out of race mode and put it into like a sloth mode, the more I slow it down, the faster things. I saw the coolest movie for this recently. Yeah. What's it called? Zootopia. Uh-huh. And there's a really cool sloth that works, of course, at the DMV, because they're all sloths working at the DMV. Right. And so,
I love that image.
So, and you still have to see, if you haven't seen it, the YouTube video, I Can Fly, I Can Fly, that stars the sloth. You have to see that video.
Okay.
I Believe I Can Fly. That's what it's called. I believe I can fly.
I
So,
believe I can. Yes.
yeah, that's guy. Anyway, the
So what's
the
sloth
more I
mode?
slow it down, the more I take it into sloth mode, the more I slow things down for my higher self, the faster things get done. They get done without the hiccups, without the errors, without the, oh, I got it done wrong, so I've got to do it again. And so I actually get more done by trying not to get more done. And once that really started to congeal, once I really started to get that, I could make peace with it. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't a few moments before interviews, like this computer gets retired after this week. I love you, computer. I love you, computer. I love you, computer. Want to keep it going strong till then. But because of that, I'm before my last interview, and there isn't enough space on the computer to record another interview at that point.
Right.
And the computer's moving so slowly, it's not letting me get enough space to put it on there.
Wow. Wow, but
That's-
isn't that a great metaphor?
It's many metaphors.
Yes. Yeah.
So that became tough, but it wasn't really an internal conflict at that point. The internal conflicts are how are you going to get all these things done? I'm going to get them done now. In the past, I would go, go, go. And now it's, whoa, slow down, kind and gentle, love yourself. It's all good. And then it gets done, and it gets done sort of like kicking your feet back. It gets done much easier. So it's taken me a long time to get here. I still am as much of a work of progress as any other human being on the planet, but that's helped a lot.
Yeah, for me, I the difference is from last time, the previous, because you go through, I would describe that this kind of dynamic happens throughout your whole life, right? You have different variations of this. And so the nice thing is I'm noticing, I have a certain amount of awareness where I think, I'm about to send an email. Oh, you're not going to give me what I want? I'm about to send like a kind of a a little bit snappy email. And I say, wait a second. What are you doing? Why are you about to send this snappy email? You don't know what this person is going through. Why are you just like snapping? This is you trying to get what you want in your own timing without any respect or regard to someone else's timing. And you need to stop whatever this is. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to put this email away. So I put it in my draft email, and I didn't look at. So the difference now is I don't send the email.
And I've done that. I've even done that with Jessica, where I'm like, I'm so upset, and then I'm like, I'm never going to send that.
Right. Yeah. But there's something about but noticing how revved up you are about something that is just so insanely stupid, right? I mean, I was at this luncheon a week ago. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. So I was in the luncheon with this group of women. It's like a wisdom circle, which I love the whole idea of a wisdom circle. So it's this. We were having lunch, and this woman said, I went and got my checkup because I was having some problems with my bladder or something like that, and she went and she found that she had cancer in this one region, and she removed it, and everything worked out great, but she said, I never really thought about dying, and when I got the cancer, I really started thinking about dying. And when you think that, you realize that you're not immortal, that there's a point that you're going to die, you start thinking about life differently. So I was a big time worrier all the time. She said, I worried about everything, and I'd get upset and worried, and I'd be so cynical. And after I got cancer, my son didn't get the report report card grade that she wanted, and she's like, I may die. Like, does it really make sense to talk to my son about this report card? Is it in the scheme of life? How important is this, B plus or C minus or whatever that you got in school? And so her whole life then pivoted around, I may die. So like, how important is this relative to I may die? if my last
Nothing is.
relationship and legacy is created by some snarky little email that I sent because I'm a little bit peeved off because I'm not getting my way or you don't understand me or whatever reasons we have for sending off those kind of snarky emails, it's just not worth it. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty, I don't know if sappy, sentimental, something. Every time Jessica leaves the house, I'm like flowering her with love and kisses as if this is the last time I'm going to see her. And every time she comes back, I'm literally in the driveway like a puppy dog.
Oh, that's
to,
sweet. I
see.
say the goodbye, but I don't say the hello. Because I figured
it's you again.
Yeah, no, it's like you're back, so you're alive. That's fine. But like but do you do because I do the same thing with my kids. My husband, I'm like, bye. I give a kiss. I'm like, I love you. Like
If
every
this is
single
going to
time.
be the last moment, if
Yeah, 'cause
whatever
it
it is
could
going
be.
to, yeah.
It could be it could be the last moment. So you might as well just make it really good because those could be the last words emanated from your mouth, right? Mm-hmm. So that's sweet. I do the same thing. Okay, so what are some other things? So in this epic battle between, Michael, the Punisher, and like Michael, the gentle, easy one, because I have the CJ, the corporate, driver, right? And then there's kind of like, oh no, I'm just meditating here. Be peaceful, everyone. Peace, harmony, love. It's all about intention. So I have the coach me and the corporate me.
I think I'm very aware of my energy now. And so when I go into that place, either I snap back really quickly or that 5 minutes before the show where I'm going, whew, gotta find room now. I'm like, and Jessica's like, I'm out of here. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to just deal with the energy fallout later because I know I'm puking energy a little bit.
Right.
But I'm really sensitive to that. So I don't even have to, I don't go far down the hole because if that internal struggle and that energy comes up, I go, what's going on here? And so I immediately have to stop and understand what's going on. Sort of like if I'm on the trails and I trip, immediately it's get grounded, grab onto light above, plug down, plug in below, stop myself, get grounded. And so I'm getting really fast. Doesn't mean that I don't have those moments, but I get really fast at catching because the energy feels so swirly, so plugged into an electrical socket at those times, and I'm going, whoa, what's going on? And it may be that I have an internal discussion. Well, I don't think you're getting this done and that done. I'm like, whoa. And I catch it pretty quickly because of that.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I was listening to a meditation tape as I was running, which of course gets all sorts of problems riddled with that, but we won't go into that. But anyhow.
We made a mindful running program.
I know. So I think it is possible. I'm just saying that it's probably, there is some value about doing a meditation and just being still, but I'm not that kind of person. I can't do that very well. Even now when I meditate, I end up moving because it's got this weird Shakti-like movement, and that just kind of sprung up after going to that Joe Dispenza event. But I'm in there meditating, and then I'm running, and I'm focusing on the trees, and I'm focusing on my breath, and then I'm focusing on a work project. I'm focusing about why are you focusing on that work project? Oh, you shouldn't be focusing on that work project. This is your time. This is your time to actually connect with spirit, connect with your body. Please just focus on that. Because you need downtime. And so then my ego's like, oh, okay. So then I'm running along, and I'm like, I love the trees. I start feeling like, the warmth of the outside, and I'm feeling, the gravel underneath my feet. And like, wait, but what about this other work issue? And it's like, no. Where'd you come from? I'm like, okay. So this is literally this conversation. So I'm running around the lake, and I'm thinking about this. So what do you want? Oh, well, I'm worried about this work issue. Okay. I understand that you're worried about the work issue. This is me talking to my my corporate side. I'll just say my corporate side, my ego, whatever you want to call it. I know that you're worried, and I was really glad that you showed up during this last 2 days of work, because you're so valuable. Lots of great insights. You have phenomenal thinking and critical analytical skills. Thank you so much. But now is the time for the other parts of me to just show up and reintegrate. This is our time to do that. Well, why? Well, because we need to have space. Don't you remember the times when that was more of our lives and how great that felt? It's like, oh, all right, so then it leaves. This is literally my whole run around the lake was my higher self having conversations with my egoic self that wanted to constantly interrupt the meditation. And that was my meditation. Was it a great meditation? I don't know. Yes or no? Did I feel peaceful and calm afterwards? Not so much. But it was what it was, right? I was checking into the state of my mind, and I learned it's busy, right? So I guess it's better than not knowing that. But sometimes it's like that. Do you know what I mean? There are going to be times in your life where it's going to be like that. And
you can't judge. You particularly can't judge your. It's like judging who you are as a person by your running race. You certainly can't judge who you are based on how the meditation went, but it sounded like it was a great learning.
It was.
That was important to touch base and know that there's some warring factions going on inside of there.
I literally have this, I did this one process, it's a NeuroLinguistic Programming thing that I learned, where you have some organizing, there's usually not a corporate entity that's a subsidiary, and you have so if you have a corporate entity with subsidiaries underneath, so I have the corporate entity of CJ, let's say, and I call that my highest self, CJ's highest self. And then there's my corporate me, my mom me, my fun me, I have all these different versions. I have my analytical me, and they all want to get a piece. They're all vying to be CEO. Right. But my CEO is really my higher self, and not any one of them is going to take positions. And I would say before creating this org structure, my corporate me was the CEO. And so it's gotten demoted, and it's having a really hard time now with this demotion, working among it's now peers with these people that used to report to him, and some higher self is the CEO. So I literally use that model. So
at least you didn't have a hostile takeover.
I did, but I do have hostile takeovers. That's what the run was about. That was a hostile takeover. But I literally have to have conversations I'm talking okay, the higher self is the CEO, and it's talking about it's talking sometimes to my shamanic self. There's all these different versions of myself, of which the higher self is talking to these versions of this myself that are having issues, or kind of popping up and creating noise, right? And that's the way that I've dealt with it so far. Is I have the corporate CEO, which is my higher self, talks to these other versions of myself that are running amok.
I like that you're talking to yourself. I'm thinking of myself if I don't have the opportunity to get for a run, where I'll tell myself it's going to be all right. I promise I'm going to make it up to you. And it's sort of like talking to your inner child.
Right.
And I'm not so much negotiating or trying to placate my inner child. I'm saying we're going to get things set straight. For whatever reason, it can't happen today. I'd like it as much as you would. We'll get you covered.
Right.
And then I'm a lot more at peace, where, man, rather than going, man, I really wanted to get out today, now because of this, that, and the other, I can't. Instead, I'm at peace with it. I'm like, oh, okay. Made peace with that. That's good. Not ideal, but I'm good.
Right. So you can actually continue, you didn't get that run in, or you didn't get the walk in nature, but I still can be okay, even if I didn't do that. Is that because you were talking to yourself throughout that period, that day, about the part would come up, I'm are we going to go out yet? Are we going to go for a walk? And you're like, it's your dog-like self. Are we going to go for a walk?
I think I set the stage so that it's not at every 5 minutes. Are we going to go out now? Are we going to go out now?
Right.
And it may even be that, okay, I didn't get to go to the woods. I didn't get to go to nature. But I'll tell you what, mid-afternoon, I've got a 10-minute break in here. Sorry, that's all it is, but let's go for a 10-minute walk. And let's just step out the front door and at least get the blood flow going. Let's do something. I'll do whatever I can to take care of you. It's for whatever reason, the way the schedule overlaps today, I can only give you what I got. And that way I'm at peace rather than tearing myself apart. I'm very much, I've made a deal with myself. No, that's not the right term. But I've set the stage up for success rather than setting the stage up for failure, because I've had that discussion with myself in advance. Here's probably all we're going to get done today, but I love you. I cherish you. I'm going to take care of you. We will get out tomorrow longer. Don't worry about it. Let's try to go through this together. Rally the troops together.
Right. So instead of like you have a collaborative workforce.
Yeah.
Where you're like, let's work together. I may not be able to do this, but we'll negotiate the next day. Versus they talk about different in corporations. They talk about different leadership models. So there's the authoritative model, which has been the widely practiced model in most corporations. It's like a top down kind of, you're the boss, we follow you. And now there's this more servant leadership, there's collaborative leadership. And so I'm hearing that your leader is a collaborative leader. And mine is collaborative too, and sometimes it gets authoritative. It has kind of the mix of between the two, where it's like, all right, come on, you need to be quiet now because I'm going for a run. Like this, the body really needs this time. So you need to stop. So kind of I have a mix of the two.
And when I go for a run and I need people to stop, I'll put them in a joint task. Would that be the right term for it?
Oh.
I said we're gonna do a mantra, and we're gonna focus. Maybe it's on sending love out, or taking in love, sending out love, take in love, send out love. And so we're gonna all work on this together.
That's a good idea.
It quiets them without stuffing them.
Yeah. So they have
they're
something
doing
to do.
something.
Yeah. And I started doing, I'm like, okay, I know you want to do something. So just label everything. Oh, there's a tree. Oh, there's a rock. There's a sun. I'm like, okay, so now you have some role in this one.
I like it.
Oh, we're on the same kind of
I think it would actually drive me crazy doing that much labeling, because I'd be like a squirrel. I'd be like, tree, rock, branch, pine cone.
Me, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Okay, so tell us about rattlesnakes, because you saw a rattlesnake. You've talked a couple times where you've seen this beautiful coral red
rattlesnake. We've been just having wild experiences on the trail that are starting to get really, really interesting.
Yeah, what happened?
So this time we were out 2-3 mornings ago and running down the trail, and it was a rare chance where I was actually leading for some reason. Usually it's Jessica in the lead, and she likes that position. She's the front runner. So for whatever reason, she had me running up. I think it was to prevent cobwebs or something in this stretch.
You're the cobweb cleaner?
You check the hit. Yes. I'm fine. And all of a sudden I run past a snake's tail. Wow. And not even sure if I caught it out of the corner of my eye. Jessica definitely did. And she said, it's a rattlesnake. And I'm like, oh, cool. And the strange thing was, first off, it didn't rattle at us. It looked at us. And so we went really quiet. And we just basically dropped everything at that point. And then it started climbing around this tree. And this is over a period of minutes. And then a furry mouse came out from the hole, like at the bottom base of the tree. And both Jessica and I are going, oh no, we did not want to witness this. And so she's sending a message, Morse code to the snake going, please don't eat that mouse. The snake turned and started to go up this little, like a bush or branch or wooden thing that wasn't part of the tree, bridged over to the tree, climbed up the tree.
Whoa!
All the way up until it's up above us, made a U-turn and came down and stopped in a U-shape. I've got the photos, and looked me eye to eye at eye level.
Oh my God.
And I was dumbfounded, awestruck. I don't even have all the words for it. We spent a good 10 minutes eye to eye, 7-8 feet apart, and I really felt this calling to move closer. There was no rattling or anything, move closer. The only reason I didn't is I got a little bit of fear from my track cycling days. Because I remembered in track cycling, in a velodrome, the person who's high up above, they have the power because they got gravity on their side.
Right.
And I'm looking at the snake going, well, actually, other than its eyes, it's all above me.
Right.
So I'm not sure that it really jumps off of trees.
Right.
But if it wanted to, and I got closer, and so I'm like, I think I'll stay back here. Whoa! There was another snake at that point down by my right foot, another rattlesnake.
What the heck?
And it came out of one rock, and it went back in the next rock, and then another mouse came running along.
Oh my god!
And the mice are just like playing like Jesse and I aren't even there. We're like, oh god. And then eventually the snake who was looking at me eye to eye came down and came within a few feet of my feet, and turned by the rocks, kept on eyeing us. At this point, I feel in hindsight like I wasn't being present enough, because I would occasionally take photos. I was trying to keep my mind quiet to kind of listen, but occasionally take photos. I got photos. None. I'm like, okay, we got to upgrade the camera for these experiences. But I also wasn't maybe being as present as I could.
Well, it's so fantastic that you want to capture the moment. And
It's
yeah,
dumbfounding. Yeah.
unbelievable. Okay, so what's your inner sense of what that whole interaction was about?
I think we're going to be going down a woo-woo rabbit hole that I don't even understand yet. I think that our connection, we're sending a lot of love out there. I am in a meditation of just sending love when I'm out there. And I think some special, see, this is, even the word think, it gets weird, because I don't want this to be an egoic thing. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever unfolds, unfolds. But I feel like we're starting a special relationship here with the animals that I don't even pretend to fully understand. My ego can tell me what it would like to see. It definitely was trying to, Jessica says she definitely was trying to communicate with us. And she was studying us very carefully. The photos show she had locked gaze eye contact with us. And I don't know that if I could really.
Did you read on the internet what that means when a snake looks at you?
I didn't look that up. I'm not sure that's out there. I looked up. They're a rare endangered species. So here we are at our feet, rare endangered species, and it's almost unheard of. But it is even documented on YouTube that they can climb trees.
Yeah,
but
I've never heard of that before, ever.
Rare.
Yeah.
So you've got all of that combining, and then clearly there was no rattling with them and us. They were not worried about us.
Because the rattling is what indicates that they're in a fear place.
Exactly. So when you come across a rattlesnake and it's going,
Yeah.
what it's saying is, stay the hell away from me. I don't feel safe. If I have to, I'll attack to protect myself. But I'm trying to give you the warning because I really don't want to put myself in danger by attacking you, because I was reading online, if they attack you and they goof, they break a tooth and they're done for life.
Oh, wow.
And so they don't want to bite unless it's absolutely necessary.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So there's no rattle, there's no animosity. I think there was more communication at a higher level that we weren't able to fully get. I really feel like in hindsight, there's no regrets to drop the camera and just be even more present. And to just allow. I had on a guest earlier today, Radhanath Swami, amazing human being. And he lived in a cave in the Himalayas, Himalayas, and in the jungle there, and was surrounded by animals such as snakes. And what he learned, and he was taught, is that if he realized that these are all gods, all divine creatures, they left him alone. And so that may have been a part of the learning. I don't know the full extent.
I interviewed this gal, Lynn, I can't remember her last name, but she's a shaman. And in that practice, she said, okay, so you're just going to get really calm and still, and then you're going to ask that animal if you can merge with it. And then you have to ask permission. So if you were to see, like, even if you imagine at this moment going into that rattlesnake and asking, like, is it okay for me to merge with you? And if it says yes, then you can either imagine two things, either the rattlesnake coming into you or you walking over and going into the rattlesnake and then just fully merging your body. And then then from the position of the rattlesnake, you say, what is the learning that you have for me? I can't do it because I didn't get permission to merge with it. But if you were to do that, then it would give you an answer. Like,
I'll try that. I think I still can. I felt a strong calling to go closer to the snake. It was only when I had this intellect of it being higher than me
yeah, no, but
that
even
I
like
stopped.
so almost like imagine yourself going through the hike, and then saying like, do I have permission to merge? And then imagine merging like in your mind. You don't have to be with it live, and then
Yeah.
ask like, what is the message that you have for me? Because clearly, when an animal comes and does something that's so rare, climbing up a tree and is staring at you for 10 minutes and has a mate near your feet, like someone, and was it you or you and Jessica that it was looking at? And
I was looking at me. It
wow,
was straight on locked with me. Now Jessica is right nearby, and she felt this pull and calling too. She's only a few feet to my left.
right.
So and both of us are like, don't know what to make out of this. Now when I look at the photos, I start crying because it is just
Mm,
so powerful and just unworldly,
yeah.
just unworldly.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think try doing one of those shape shifting things. I can't remember her name, but Lynn was her first name, and I think they're super powerful because when you really merge with an animal, the spirit of the animal, you're not merging with that. Maybe in your case, they have in the shamanistic world, they talk about going to the middle world when you're literally merging with that specific
Hmm.
snake, and then one in which you are merging with like the lower world or upper world, wherever you go with animals, because each person sees animals in different realms. But then you're going into the higher spirit or the archetype of that animal, like what that animal represents. So when you go to books online, you'll see like the rattlesnake represents blah, 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 blah. That's a little bit different though, because to me it seems like this specific rattlesnake was
Hmm.
trying to convene with you. So if you were to go, you just close your eyes, you go into a meditative space, you go out a window of your house, and then you go to that back on the trails and imagine going to that specific rattlesnake, asking permission if you can merge with it, and ask them what learning you have. That would be
I
the high
will
level process. I
I
think,
will do that.
yeah, can we talk about that next week? I'm curious to see what happens
We
because
can
I'm
definitely do
super,
that.
yeah. Okay, so what? So that's the saving cute and furry mice.
Yep.
And then you're being cooked in your house?
We had the AC break
Oh no.
between Thursday or Friday when we had a heat wave of mid 90s here. And so it got into to the lower 90s in the studio and in the office
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh no.
where we're sleeping. So it's not that it would be so bad, but because it had been a cold spring or cold last month,
Mm-hmm.
we'd wake up dizzy from the heat
Oh no.
and then have a hard time keeping ourselves cool through the
Right,
day.
right.
So Jessica went into her own sloth mode of getting up, being active for a few hours, and then going back to sleep to try to keep her body cool. So she'd take cool showers and just shut her
Oh.
energy expenditure down.
Oh wait, so it was so hot at night that she was intermittently taking cold showers to cool her body temperature.
Well, cool it during the day. I cool it with the showers during the day, and then at night it wasn't cooling off, and so the body temperature wasn't coming down much. And so we just had to go into this real slow mode. Her even more restful than me to try to keep our body temperature down, which was really funky for us.
Wow.
And there are a lot of people. We got some interesting Facebook comments. There are a lot of people who don't have AC and aren't in parts of the world with it. The only difference is that it came as a shock for us.
Right. Well, because your body has been acclimated to being, 70 degrees or 67 or whatever you turn your air
Exactly.
conditioning, and so then all of a sudden it's 90, and it's kind of shocking to the system. Whereas someone had told me that they were visiting Singapore, I think it was, and it was their winter, and it was 90 degrees, and people were wearing down jackets because it's really cold then for them.
Wow. Jessica and I were two of the few people who were in insulated down leg jackets when we lived in Hawaii.
You did?
We got so used to it, and we lived in upcountry, up in the hills.
Yeah.
And so we got so used to it being warm. So when it got cold, and it really did relatively get cold in the hills,
Yeah.
you would have all your ski gear on.
Well, I can see that because it could get. Oh no, because we went up to is it Haleakala?
Haleakala.
You go up to Haleakala. There's
And we lived on
snow.
the side of Haleakala.
Yeah, it's seriously cold there. I mean, we were there and we were in shorts and t-shirts, and then we went up there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't. It was snowing, so it gets pretty cold. That's not being absurd to be in puffy down jackets in Haleakala. I think, in my mind. And granted, it was winter, but still, it's cold.
Up there it is. We weren't quite as high. So but before we break, I've got to go into the bucket list a little bit.
Okay, let's go to the bucket list.
Jessica went crazy on this bucket list, and she wants me to share these things so that it's out there.
Yeah, and just so people know, on last week's episode, you had said that you were coming up with a bucket list.
Yeah, we don't want to. We typically miss our summers.
Right.
The summer gets done, and we go, where did it go? Mm-hmm. What did I do? Mm-hmm. And so we did not want to have this happen this year.
Right.
And so we over Memorial Day weekend came up with lists. Hers quite extensive, mine quite meek and humble. But I get to go along on the ride on some of these things with her, so it's okay.
Right.
And so we'll whip through some of them. First off, she says, for your bucket list, you have your low-hanging fruit, your stretch goals, and somewhere in between.
Oh, wow. She's even organized her bucket list.
So, yeah, let's see how many I can whip through here really quickly.
Okay.
Triple the size of her garden while using space more efficiently by building trellises. And she's been working on that.
Okay, got it.
Build a compost. Have a telepathic conversation with her kitties. Right now, they're just one-sided.
Okay.
I don't know which direction to which. Perform a miracle healing. She's a healer, and we've seen her do this on Animal After Animal. Perform a miracle healing on human being, which she says one may already taken place. It's too early to tell if her friend is in full remission. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Stand in the middle of a forest with arms and hands held out and have all the birds land on her without pooping while singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music. I'm guessing that's a stretch goal.
Is that a stretch goal? All right. Were the other ones, did she categorize? Are those categories?
She hasn't written down the categories. So the garden's happening. Compost is probably happening. Right. Telepathic communication, I don't know if that's a stretch. The healing's probably not a stretch. What we call miracles, once we start practicing it, become real. Right. That one's probably a bit of a stretch. The next one she's going to make sure happen. Hershey Park. Have fun, eat lots of chocolate, and, I like this part, leave with a fully intact Michael.
What? Why? So what would happen if you went to Hershey Park?
Well, she's referring to, we went to the county fair in Maui a few years ago, and they had like this zipper ride. It's like a spinning Ferris wheel. It goes up and down, but it also has this thing that kind of corkscrews around and goes upside down.
Nauseating. Okay.
And I checked out in it.
Yeah.
So I left my body.
What do you mean you left your body?
I've done this for surgery before, where I've had surgery done without anesthetic.
Yeah.
Is separate myself from my body, so I'm more of the observer of the experience.
Right.
So it was too much. I've had minor. This is where everybody goes, oh, that explains it. Had minor head injuries in the past, and so I'm very sensitive. Even a roller coaster ride kind of jars my brain if I haven't.
Right.
If I did bouncing before, lots of jump rope or like a rebounder trampoline, I can get my head where it's comfortable with it. But if not, I'll get a headache. I'll be in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And so this spinning ride, I was in a lot of pain almost instantly. And so I went into limp mode, left the body. My body was like a rag doll, and it's bouncing back and forth on top of her. During the ride.
No, that's
and she's screaming,
awful.
Michael, and I'm not in my body to respond. So she doesn't want that. So she's saying, leave with a fully intact, meaning in my body, Michael. Okay. And I said, get me a rebounder. Either that or don't put me on the rides.
Okay.
Mini road trip each month and see friends so she hasn't seen in a long time. That'll happen. Okay. Enter at least one art show. That'll happen. Her mom is an award-winning artist, and so she just has to go, Mom, can we put me in this art show? She's got it in her. She just needs to start practicing it. Buy Michael a new wardrobe. He needs it bad. I'm guessing that's a stretch. So, movies. She put them down in the calendar. At a minimum, Finding Dory, which is the continuation of the fish movie, Finding Nemo. Ice Age collision course and 9 lives because it's got cats in it. Give more of my work to Michael. Ha ha ha. She goes, oh, I'm kidding. And I'm like, no, you're not. And she's like, no, no, I'm not.
You mean healing work?
No. The work that she's doing, pass off more of the work on me.
Yay! I love that.
Continue experimenting with
It
dairy.
still goes on.
Oh, we've got 3 or 4 more.
We're only talking
almost
about
there.
summer. Okay, well, 3 or 4
Continue
more.
experimenting with dairy-free, gluten-free ice cream, which she's making. Currently working on an apple pie recipe. And she's made apple pie kombucha and all sorts of amazing things, eggnog kombucha and stuff, which have been amazing.
Really?
So she'll pull this off.
Yeah.
Empty our storage unit in California that still has our wedding stuff from 5 years ago in it. That's a stretch, I think.
Yeah.
Because where are we going to put it till we have a home? 6-pack, 20 pull-ups, beat Michael in arm wrestling. I don't know how much of a stretch. She's up to 10 pull-ups.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. That's really good.
We'll see. And then the last one is buy a folding kayak. Oh yeah, one for Michael too. Let me along for the ride. So that's her list. My list is really short. Michael, first, whatever she said. Do whatever she does.
Regardless, you're going to do it anyways because you're married.
Exactly. I'd like to go to the Catskills, which is only a couple hours from here, and go to some bigger mountains and do some trail runs. More time on the trails and running in the trails. More time with nature, like this experience with the animals and nature, just quiet with the experience. Date nights on Friday nights with Jessica. And go. I have a cousin who's a sports med doc. He doesn't live too far from here. Sunday mornings, go for bike rides with him. And if I put a stretch in there, the stretch is to move. Literally, for us to move someplace. That would be a stretch goal for us. And then the big stretch is we just got invited to visit Mumbai. So I'm going to put that as and have a place at an eco not retreat. It's a people's home that home many families' home. A place that's very eco sustainable and spend a little time there. I have no idea how I juggle that with the show. And
I do because
so
I was imagining you going through hikes in the Catskill and doing little videos and like, hey, this is Jessica and we're walking along.
Yeah.
This is a show with Jesse and I. We're talking about our recent trip. I think that'd be so cool.
And she's getting really excited to share her voice on the show. It's coming quickly. So
already do? I thought she was already doing part of the show with you.
She did, and she pulled back from it. She didn't felt like she really had her voice, and it was stressing her out. Her voice is coming through tenfold right now. Yeah. In fact, that's a theme in working with people lately has been helping people in all different ways, writing, shows, everything to find their voice. She's finding her voice.
Yay! Woohoo!
Woohoo! Okay, so we've only got a couple minutes left here, or your editor.
Do you want to hear my bucket list?
Exactly.
Okay.
Please.
So my bucket list includes, I want to go to, they're all okay. So when my youngest son graduates from, and these are all doable, when he graduates from graduates from high school, I would like to do that walk, Camino de Santiago.
Oh, we've been talking about it lately. We even saw people walking near here thinking of El Camino.
El Camino, yes, that's the one I want to do.
Or Camino.
Yeah, Camino. And my husband goes, I'm not committed to that yet. I'm like, you will be. You will be.
We'd love to do that too.
Okay,
so that's
all right.
Cool.
So that's one on my bucket list, and that's
that's
doable.
In Spain for people who don't know it.
Yeah, Spain, and I think it's part in France too. I don't know. So that's one. I'd like to go to Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village and do some type of something or other there because I think that'd be cool, and I just love his energy, and that would be really really cool. And then we want to, and I think that's possible. Like when the kids go, that's a possible thing. And then we always do a bunch of different, my husband and I do a bunch of spiritual retreats. But I would like to be based, like every 6 months, be based in a different place. Like live in Paris for 6 months or live in Denmark. You know, just great cities that, you know, you go and visit for like 3 days. But I'd really like to just hang out there for like 3-6 months. I don't know. You know, a lot of my friends buy vacation homes where they go and, you know, they like go to their vacation home all summers. I can't commit to anything like that for like my life. So like little 3 to 6 month stints at different really interesting locations. That's another thing on our bucket list. These are of course all things that we're going to do when the kids get older. So those are What are they? What's Jessica's categories? They're not stretch.
So we had low-hanging fruit, stretch goals, and somewhere in between.
Yeah, those are somewhere in between. My stretch goal is to develop this software that's going to increase corporate consciousness. That's my stretch goal. And I don't know what the timing is yet because I'm still doing market research through the work that I'm doing. And my stretch goal, I think this is possible. This is stretch, but someplace in between is really like it's an immediate stretch goal, which is to use my venture back into work as a spiritual practice. Like literally
Yes.
everything that I'm doing is like, okay, don't forget, this is not about work. This is about a spiritual practice and using everything that I'm learning while I'm at work and how I behave under those situations as spiritual work. So that's my kind of immediate stretch goal.
I love it, and one that I haven't added to my list, but now that you're challenging me to think more about my spiritual side. So thank you. What I've been asking myself is, how can I spend more time in, as the Aboriginals call it, dream time? How can I spend more time checking out of here and plugging into that greater self?
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah. Oh, have you interviewed some? I've just had someone who was interested in being interviewed for Dreamtime. I'll have to take a look and see.
Would
Have
love
you
it.
interviewed people for dreaming?
No. Robert Moss, Synchronicities,
Yeah.
but not specifically more on the dream side.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
written a bunch of books on dreaming,
Yeah.
but we should have him back.
Yeah, I think that would be good. That'd be good. All right, we did it. We did
I
it.
think
50
we're
minutes.
good. All right, so we've got to wrap this up for everyone out there. Before we wrap this up, make sure that you get your bucket list this week. Don't miss your summer.
Yes, I want to hear people's bucket list. Can we read them? Can we read some emails next time?
Why not? We've been getting a bunch on this.
Yeah.
So let's do it next time. Let's read your
Yeah.
emails. So please send emails to CJ. How can they get in touch with you?
You can go to I'm going to post the show on the Fire It Up with CJ YouTube page. So post your bucket list and your observations on the rattlesnake, because other people will probably have some thoughts on what the rattlesnake means for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And for me, just send them to Michael at InspireNationShow.com, or you can send them directly through our InspireNationShow.com. We've got a little portal right on each page that you can send a message directly through it. Also, of course, through YouTube, Facebook, everything as well. Or come to our Patreon page. Leave a comment there as well.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Yay! Crystals are clapping.
My one crystal doesn't clap. Star Trek. Okay, on that note, for everyone out there, this is
CJ Liu from the Fire It Up with CJ show.
And Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, make that bucket list, and then actually do the things on the list
Exactly.
and shine bright. Woohoo!